Good morning. We're nearly at Christmas and I thought we should have a Christmas thought for you this morning. But before I get there, I wonder if you recognise any of these people. You will recognise, I'm sure, Martin Luther King, a man who fought for equality in the United States of America for those who were downtrodden in his nation. And then Greta Thunberg, who in 2018 came up with an idea to get the schools to move against the climate change inaction that was happening around the world. And she moved over 1 million students to protest. And then Mahatma Gandhi, who fought for freedom of his country, India, away from the British. So India became a free country. He used what was called social disobedience. And then one that maybe you don't recognise is Katie Davis, who at age 17 went to Uganda just on a summer away and then has stayed there ever since, now in her late 20s. She eventually at age 18 adopted 13 orphans that had been orphaned through war and HIV. And then Malala, a Pakistani citizen who has taught the women to stand out for themselves in such a young age. She was only 15 as an activist as she raised a voice for women and children's rights in Pakistan. Of course, in 2012, was actually shot and now has received a Nobel Prize. One that maybe you don't recognise is one I found quite intriguing, really. It came up on my Facebook link and it was almost a photograph that had been hidden away for years. It's a photograph of a lady called Rosa Parks, who in the United States refused to get up from a seat because she was seated in a white-only area of the bus. Because of that, she was arrested. And her protest, her stand, started a movement across the United States. So what do they all have in common? Well, each one was willing to take a stand for something they believed in. Something to do with justice, rightness, fairness and kindness. If you like, they planted their feet and said, this or that isn't right and things must change. They took a stand for something good and refused to budge. That leaves a good feeling, doesn't it? But it also leaves quite a challenge for us as well. It's when we choose to say this or that is not happening on my watch. That's not right. I must do something. It may be in your community or in your school. It may simply be even in your class. When you've got the courage and character to stand by someone who you feel others are treating unfairly. That takes courage. Making a stand. So you may say, what's that got to do with Christmas? I thought you were doing a Christmas thought. Well, for Christians, this is a time of year when we remember the birth of Jesus. Jesus was such a person who stood for the downtrodden and marginalized in the society of his day. He took a stand on the side of those who were being put down, broken, despairing and forgotten. And for me as a Christian, Christmas reminds me that, if you like, God took a stand and said, enough is enough. I will come down and sort things out. I don't know if you remember when you used to do those nativity plays in primary school, and maybe some of you said these words, but they were the words that were said by the angels to the shepherds. Today is born in the city of David, Bethlehem, a saviour or a rescuer who is Christ the Lord. And so Jesus was born, and we remember that at Christmas. And after 30 years, Jesus actually said this: the Son of Man, he's talking about himself, has come to seek and save those who are lost. He took a stand. I'm going to put it in other words. The Son of Man has come, Christmas, to seek and to save, that's Easter, those who are lost. You see, Christmas for me is that God wouldn't let anything stand in his way of him rescuing his people. It took a long journey into time and to space from his rightful throne in heaven to the journey of his mother and his stepfather, that census, that long journey to Bethlehem, 9 months pregnant, no room in Bethlehem itself, being born in a stable as a fragile, vulnerable baby. And then that lonely path in life and an even more lonely and agonizing death. If you like, Jesus planted his feet and said, there is something I must do to restore peace and hope, and only I can do it. And that's what Christmas is about. God taking a stand and saying, enough is enough. And that's why for myself as a Christian, Christmas is a time of hope. And hope has a name, and his name is Jesus. Thank you.